What you're about to watch is a special private training session for people who bought a copy of my book, Built to Serve. Enjoy. Hello, beautiful people. Raise your hand, and we'll get to as many questions as we got. Andrew is just raising his hand normally, so we could start with Andrew.
I'm super pumped to ask this question because you actually posted about it recently on your Instagram. So it's good timing. I really
have you changed your setup a little bit? The background's a little different than usual.
No. I was in Montreal. I was staying in Montreal. I'm back just outside of Ottawa right now.
Okay.
I'm a digital nomad. I kind of float around, and
cool.
And so yeah, that's why my background changes.
All right.
I really appreciated your Instagram post recently where you took a snapshot of I believe it was the lifetime of your YouTube channel, and you pointed out that the importance of picking the right partner and how picking the right partner will contribute to your success. And that perfectly ties into what I wanted to ask you today. How did you manage the conversation with your wife as far as, and I'm going to try to word this as best I can. I hope this makes sense. With regards to how visible your lifestyle is and how you put yourself out there and you welcome the spotlight. You're an introvert, just like myself, but you welcome the spotlight. Some spouses, some partners are going to be okay and they're going to be comfortable with that. Others are not going to be okay with that. I'm curious if you could touch on that. How did that conversation go? And how did she respond? Or did you guys actively talk about it? Or did it just kind of organically happen? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so it was an evolution. Even for myself, to show more personal stuff was an evolution. If you go back on my early videos, there's not a ton about, my life or my travels or whatever. So it was an evolution. With Nina, I already had my YouTube channel, so she knew I did YouTube videos. There was no big conversation. There was no sit down moment to be like, okay, we have to discuss what we're going to do. At the beginning, when she saw me making videos, she would every now and then pop in the background, wave, do something behind my back that I didn't even know she was doing, just to photobomb my videos. And then you watch the replay or you see the comments. Oh, we love Nina. It's like, what did Nina do? And then you see it like the 4-minute mark. She did something in the background. And she slowly became more comfortable in terms of being on camera. So then she went from like a little cameo behind to then just saying something to then now she does a bunch of like any video that's an Evan top 10, she records the whole thing herself. That just became an evolution. And it got to the point where like she's for the vlog channel going her to go get a facial done and going in with no makeup. And then you come out of a facial and your face is all purple and whatever. Right. And so like, she's filming all that and her friend saying, hey, aren't you scared to be on camera like that? And she's like, I don't know, I guess I was, but I just kind of got used to it. So that being said, my parents, for example, are very private people and they're never on camera. And if I'm going to their house to celebrate something, you might see, an Instagram picture of the cake for whoever's birthday or whatever, but you never see them. And that also wasn't a conscious, like sit down conversation to say, okay, guys, I'm on YouTube now. Do you want to be in my videos or not? My parents have had a huge impact on my life. I mean, they're behind me on the wall, right? But you only know 3 to 8 different stories about them that I've shared because they're very private people. So you get to pick. You don't have to be public with all of your information. You get to pick what you share. And I'm always just trying to bounce with the people who, the people who I'm bringing on stream or bringing on the video to understand what do they want, what are they comfortable with. You can sit down and have a conversation, but for me, it was just rolling with it. I see Zandaman here, who's been an active part of my stream for the gaming channel, and we've had some very in-depth discussions. Why don't we call it on the gaming channel? And most of the stuff is open, for anybody to watch. And in Zan's journey, other people can learn and be inspired as well. And we've also had private, like last week we had a private call to go deeper into some of the things that, okay, you know what, like, here's the line of what we're going to share and not share with like the whole world to watch your business and evolve. So let's spend some time, like dive into that part that you may not want to share. His wife came on, right? And I got to meet her, which was amazing, but she's not involved in the live stream. You might see an arm every now and then pop through the door, but she's not involved in that. So it's really just paying attention to the person and what they're comfortable with. I would say in Nina's case, so being super introverted, never wanted to be a YouTuber. She grew into it and she likes it, and that evolved, for her. My son from the beginning is like, yeah, YouTube, let's go. I can't wait. Give me a camera. I'm happy, so you bounce with it.
Thank you. I really appreciate your feedback on that, because everyone seems to have their own methods. Gary Vee famously never includes his wife or his kids in anything. I don't know anyone who knows what his wife and kids look like, because he actively avoids creating content with them. So I was just curious what your take was on that. So thanks so much for sharing that.
Dougie Fresh has a question. What do we got, Doug?
My question is, your purpose from your pain. It's one of the favorite sayings that I've adopted from you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with, and I'm kind of asking a general question, but how do you deal with getting over embarrassment? Like if it's something that's very sticky or something like that, do you just say, screw it because I know I'm going to help somebody else out, or what? Can you walk me through some more of that?
So for me, I'll split it between like, is it me who's embarrassed, or is it Nina who might be embarrassed, or my parents might be embarrassed, right? That if it's me, then I want to lean into it. If it's my parents or Nina or somebody else, then that would cause me some pause for sure. And I probably wouldn't do it. I think the more you can lean into your embarrassment, you realize that it actually releases the embarrassment. Like by actually sharing it, when you can turn it to service for others. The story that I usually tell is I was at Tony Robbins' event, and they had the security guard detail, and they rotate because the Tony Robbins event is like 12 hours a day for 4 days or whatever. It's crazy. And Tony invited me as his personal guest. So I'm sitting there in the front row with my friend Mark. And what I noticed was every 7 to 10 minutes, the security guards would shift. So they're not always sitting in the same spot for 12 hours. And anytime they did a shift, they would fist bump the next person. It was really like low key, not like high five fist bump, just like boom, fist bump, rotate, take your seat, go to the next guy. So I get this idea. I'm going to fist bump the security guard as they come by. I want to fist bump them too, just thank them for their service, So like, the first guy comes, fist bump, great. At the time I put my hand out, he looks at my hand and keeps walking. It's like, oh my God, I just got owned by the security guard at the Tony Robbins event.
You got iced.
I got iced. It's like, man, I can't believe it. I got shunned. And my first thought was, because in my head was, of course he's going to fist bump me. Why not? We're at a Tony Robbins event. This is what it's all about. Yeah. My first thought was, who just saw me get massively embarrassed? Right? There was the first like, oh my God, I just got ice. Is that even a thing? Ice? I think ice would be like you got killed, but I don't know. I just got owned by this guy. And my first thought was I'm massively embarrassed right now. And who saw me? Now, in the grand scheme of things, like nobody even cares, right? I mean, they're not focused on me and me trying to fist bump the security guard. They're looking at Tony here on stage. But in my head, this is what goes on. Zen says dissed. Yeah, I just got dissed by the guy. So then, I was cycling through, and now I'm not paying attention to Tony Robbins anymore because I'm so worried about me getting dissed by this guy and who saw it. But then the thing that shifted it was, if somebody saw that and laughed at me for doing it, great. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep doing it until I get a fist bump. So that becomes now, if anybody was watching me, now it's inspiration. Because if they see me keep getting dissed, pass, he's still doing it. He's still doing it. He's
Right,
still going.
right.
Now they start cheering for me. At least, again, nobody probably even saw or cared, but this is the story inside our own mind, like the thing you're
Gotcha.
embarrassed about. A lot of the things that we're embarrassed about aren't that big a deal to other people. They're dealing with their own problems and their own pain and their own suffering and their own battles and wars. So then the next guy comes and, you know, I do the same thing. The next guy disses me too. And like looks at the hand and just keeps walking by. Like, oh my gosh, come on. This is now the second person here. Now I'm full on in just, I need to get this to happen. I'm not paying attention at all to what Tony's saying on stage in the front row. And the next person comes in and now I'm trying to make eye contact with him. I'm trying to like laugh, you know, just before, so that when he comes, I'm not just some stranger, that it's going to happen. And so the next, he can't, you know, the rotate comes and I put up my fist bump and he fist bumped me back, subtle looking. And then I'm like, yes. I just missed 20 minutes of Tony Robbins content. It doesn't matter because I got a fist bump from the security guard. But the thing that, again, the initial embarrassment, as soon as you can flip it to service, it gets rid of the embarrassment because now you're helping other people. So whatever yesterday I was doing an interview with Deepak Chopra, and in 9 minutes before, my heart's beating. I'm scared. Like, oh my God, I've never talked to Deepak, so I don't know his messaging fully in. My heart's beating. I want to have a good interview. And what I did was I went to Instagram to share it. It's like, hey, I'm 9 minutes from showtime from Deepak showing up and us doing this show. And I'm nervous. My heart's beating super quick, but we do difficult things. Let's go.
Wow.
And in the flipping it to service, eliminated the embarrassment and gives you the courage to go do the thing that you need to do.
Be your own cheerleader.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but it's still more like I want to help somebody else. I want somebody to see me. Somebody could look at me and like, oh, he's interviewed all these people. And so it's just so easy for him. I want them to see the struggle that goes on just before, and the willingness to then do the courageous thing to hopefully inspire somebody else to do their version of it. Not that they have to go interview Deepak, but whatever their version of the thing is.
Right. Like when you talked about interviewing Matthew McConaughey, you watched a bunch of his interviews to ask him something different.
Yeah. And I was more scared even for McConaughey than for Deepak, because I knew zero about McConaughey besides him being an actor. I didn't want to go on an interview and say, so what's it like being an actor? Just some useless question, right? Yeah. So flip it to service. Like it's yes, being your own cheerleader of doing a difficult thing, but recognize that whatever you're so embarrassed by, there are many, 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 many people who are embarrassed by the same thing. And if you stay silent, it perpetuates the silence. If you come up and say, hey, this thing happened to me, or I did this and I'm not proud of it, it brings it into the open, and other people can heal as you heal as well.
Great. Thank you so much.
Cool, man. All right, Joy, what do we got? I see the hand.
So you were talking about how it's hard to interview. You get nervous. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, so what do you do when you're going to be with that person and it's not an interview and you're just hanging out? Like if you meet up somewhere or you're doing a project together, how does that work? If you're super nervous to interview them, how do you take that into just being in their presence and being a person with them?
So I usually don't just hang out. I suck at hanging out.
Okay.
We're usually like working on something. So the most recent example of that, because with COVID, I haven't left my home to go to any event for a long time. But just before COVID started, I was in Puerto Rico with a bunch of the big names of Brendan Burchard and Dee Graziosi and Lewis Howes and Jay Shetty and all those people. And there was a format of mastermind roundtable. So there's maybe 25 of us at a table at Brendan's house, and everybody got a chance to talk about what over 3 days, everybody had a chance to go and talk about what they're working on and what they need help with. And that's fine. That's easy, right? It's like, okay, you've got a problem. Great. Tell me your problem. Let's try to help and dissect and bring value. But then there were long breaks where you just hang out. where it's like, okay, go grab lunch or go just take a break. And it's 2 hours later until you sit back down at the table. And everything inside of me was like, okay, I just want to go back to my room because I hate just hanging out without an agenda or like even know what we're talking about. But what I did was I forced myself to say, no, you know what? I'm here. This is hard for me. I can still help even though there's no kind of fixed agenda. I'm going to go and try to make it work. And I'm not the most gregarious or outgoing person. I see a group of 4 people. I'm not going to go in and say, hey guys, I'm Evan. You know, what are you doing? But I'm typical Evan would have gone back to the hotel room and just come back 2 hours later for everything. And so I said, no, I'm going to do what's difficult for me. And I'm going to inject myself in the conversations and try to make things work. Was it the best? No. Were the more, you look at Lewis Howes, for example, who was there, and Lewis will talk to anybody about anything. Lewis is just fantastic that way, right? Like, hey, I'm Lewis. What do you do? And just immediately go into conversation. So Lewis is talking up a storm everywhere. And I did the best that I could at the time with what I had. And I'm really proud of that. Was difficult for me, even though it might have been super easy for Lewis. So I don't often find myself in those situations because I don't usually like to just hang out. It's usually based around a project. So there's some kind of agenda and we're working towards something. I work with a lot of these guys on different projects, but again, we've got a clearly defined project of what we're working on. But when I am in a situation like that, it's okay. I want to do the thing that will make me proud. And here comes a learning opportunity. Let's go.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. No problem. Let's see. We got time for one more. Bork. Did I pronounce it properly? Angelic music. We made it happen. Is it Bork?
Well, if you're real French, then it's Bourg. But
okay.
My mother's family has always called it Burke.
Burke.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know how to deal with this, but I don't want to be like rude because all of a sudden we've moved back to Calgary from New York because New York was just really, really, really weird the last months. And so we moved back here. And my mother, I've become this much, much, much comfortable with myself. I'm not an introvert. And I'm really happy with that because I like talking to people and all that. But my mother keeps looking at me and going, shh, shh, shh. And it's like, I don't want to be embarrassed of myself. And she makes me, it's like all this, like, ugh. And it makes me just want to move back to our place that we're still renting in New York.
I mean, at some point, it's figuring out when are you living your life, right?
Exactly.
When are you an adult? And for some people, they're 75 years old and still listen to their 95-year-old parents as what they can and can't do. I think there's an element of, like if you're in your parents' home or somebody else's home, there is an element of kind of respect for their rules and what's going on.
We're not. We're like half an hour walk away.
Yeah. So honestly, then it's just limiting the exposure.
Yeah.
Right. So like some topics are off limit. I'm sure you love your mom, and I'm sure there's a lot of great things you can talk about. And it's cutting off access to the things that bother you. I mean, I think to some point you can have a discussion. It's unlikely that it's going to change very much.
Yeah.
To say, hey, when you shush me, it makes me feel really disrespected. You feels like you're shutting me down and I don't have my own voice. Like that may do something, but likely won't. It's having empathy and compassion for her. And
well, she's 90.
Well, it's like, listen, at some point, I mean, I had to go through my grandfather having Alzheimer's, which is just a terrible
thing to go through.
Terrible. And they slowly become just almost like a baby, right? Where they just can't remember anything, reminding them that then they don't know who you are, all of this stuff. And so, I mean, thank God she still has her mental faculties enough
Oh.
to even tell you shush.
Well, she's one of the smartest people I know, but
Well, just empathy for her life and where she's at and her situation and how she was raised, because it was a different era than what you were raised at. And even as a mental prep before going in, I wouldn't even see it as I'm silencing myself around her. You have lots of opportunities to be yourself and express and share your voice and be you. It's more creating a gift for her to try to create as great a relationship as possible for the years that you guys both have left together.
yeah.
That's how I
Okay.
would look
Well,
at it.
that's a good one. So congratulations on everything you've done.
Thank you. Thank you for the love.
I'm excited to be here.
It's great to have you. Thank you guys for the love. Continue to believe, and we'll see you again very soon. If you want to get a copy of Built to Serve and join us live for our next training with me to ask your questions, you can go get the book right there next to me, right there. I'll see you there. I'll see you to get the book. It's a good one. Much love.